I'm attorney Nick Alcock, and this video provides information about Chandler Municipal Court. And we've updated this video to include information about COVID and how COVID is affecting criminal cases that are proceeding through that particular court. So Chandler Municipal Court is a great court to practice law. It's at 200 East Chicago Street, and the phone number there is 480-782-4700. And save that number because you may be calling it later if you have a court date. Now, the way that the cases are working in Chandler is that the judges are being very reasonable and they're allowing most people to appear telephonically. And that's great because it's great for your safety, and it also creates opportunities for you to negotiate, to buy yourself time, to find an attorney. And so some of the temperature is brought down a little bit. The court is being very flexible with confinement orders, and if you have a jail sentence that you need to serve, they're being flexible in allowing people to extend the time when they have to surrender to jail because they want people to be safe. And so I applaud Chandler City Court for being super reasonable. And in general, it's filled with people that genuinely care about the people that live in the community. So that first court appearance, what my advice is, you want to call that number, okay, the 480-782-4700. You call that number well in advance, not the day before, not a minute before, well in advance. And you want to find out what the policies and procedures are. Now, I'm recording this video, it's September 2020. Obviously, it could change tomorrow. And so it's still good advice. You call well in advance to find out what number you need to call. And every judge has got a slightly different protocol. And even if I could describe to you every single protocol right now, that could always change. So the key is you call early. If you fail to call in, if you fail to appear at the time of your court appearance, a warrant can issue for your arrest, and that would be a disaster. So you don't want that. So you call, you find out what the policies and procedures are. When you call in on the day of your court, if you're allowed to appear telephonically, you want to make sure that your phone is fully charged, you're in a quiet environment, there's no ambient noise, you've got a good signal, and that there aren't any externalities that could get in the way. Because again, imagine if your case is just about to be called and then you run out of juice in your phone. So you don't want that at all. You really don't want to have any noises in the background. Everything that happens in court is recorded, and so it's just going to be awkward if there's screaming or shouting or crying or dogs barking in the background. When you speak to the judge on that first court appearance, typically the name of the game in arraignment is just to enter your name, and then you enter a plea of not guilty. When a judge in Chandler reads to you what your charges are, the judge will also tell you what the maximum penalty is. People tend to freak out when they hear, for example, in a class 1 misdemeanor, the maximum penalty is 6 months in jail. So they're like, and then they're afraid, well, if I say that I'm not guilty and I change it later, then will that be used against me? Am I going to be in trouble? And so, no, you won't be in trouble by pleading not guilty, and it will be set to another court date. And this is a procedural aspect. They want to make sure that they know that you know what you're charged with, what the maximum penalty is, and then they set it to another court date. That court date, the status conference they set it to, it's just an opportunity to obtain information about your case, police reports, and speak with a prosecutor. In some cases where you're not facing jail time, they won't assign a public defender. And so you'll be talking to the prosecutor yourself in those next court appearances. My advice in those situations is be very respectful, very professional. Don't bring any emotional energy to the table, because I've seen prosecutors really change their mind, and maybe they were leaning towards making a plea agreement that was favorable, but then something happens in the conversation and they kind of shut down. So I'll be waiting in court and I listen to these conversations, and so I can see people who are representing themselves make pretty grievous errors just by being overly confrontational. Prosecutors are there to prosecute you, but they're also officers of the court, and their job is to listen. And in cases where they've arrested the wrong person or there isn't enough evidence against that person, they certainly will do the right thing. But if you say, for example, that you're violating the terms and conditions of your release, you've had contact with the victim, or you say that I've got a bunch of priors in the past that they don't know about, trust me, they're not going to say, oh, well, that was nice that he admitted to me, so I'm not going to take it out on him or her. No, the prosecutor's job is to prosecute. And so if you have multiple prior convictions in Chandler Court or any other court, they may not know about that. So you might be appearing, the prosecutor may have looked at your case for 15 seconds before the case is called. And so in a situation like that, you got to be very, very careful, because they can find out something about your case and say, oh, wow, this case should have been charged as a felony. This person's got 7 different shopliftings in the last couple of years in different courts. this case should be referred to the county for felony prosecution. This person's got 5 DUIs in the last 7 years. This person should be charged with a DUI in Superior Court for aggravated DUI. And that's how these cases can work. It's not like when you walk into Chandler City Court, the judge is up there waiting for you and only you, and the prosecutor's there waiting for you and only you, and that first court appearance is a trial. That's not how it works. The way that it works is there are a lot of cases going through. The prosecutors, they're not spending a lot of investment. They're not making a huge investment in time to look at the case. And just understand that things can happen in these hearings that can break your way or can break against you. So just be very cognizant of that. The number again for Chandler, it's at the 200 East Chicago Street location. It's 480-782-4700. Before you go to court, call well in advance. Make sure that you can appear telephonically. They haven't changed the rules. The number that you need to call, and be very, very aware that failure to call or failure to appear in court can be used against you. It can make your life much more complicated, otherwise it needs to be. Our number is 602-989-5000. That's 602-989-5000. We've been practicing in Chandler for well over 2 decades. It's a great court to be in, and we enjoy it. And we definitely enjoy helping people who are facing criminal charges. We know what to do, and we know how to handle cases, looking for positive outcomes, looking for ways to win, looking for ways to get the case dismissed, looking for ways to reduce exposure. And it's definitely our privilege, and it's a great honor to be able to represent people in that court. Our number is 602-989-5000. 602-989-5000 is a free consultation. It can be done right over the phone. We can do Zoom, we can do FaceTime, in the office, however you want to do it. We got plexiglass everywhere, and it's a safe environment for people to come to. So if you need anything in Chandler City Court, let us know. And thank you so much for listening. I wish you the very best of luck. Stay safe, please.